Hi, it's Tony Genovese. If you are following me, you know that I'm a licensed clinical social worker and psychotherapist in New Jersey. And one of the things that I like to do is talk about therapy and talk about how to get the most out of therapy, how to use therapy to get what you want out of life. I also enjoy working with women who are looking to build self-esteem, confidence building, and it's something that I talk a lot about. So today I wanted to just share with you a question that I got from a client, and I thought it was a really good question. And some of you may actually have a similar question, especially if you're just starting out with working with a therapist. And what that question is, should I feel really awesome every time I leave therapy? Like, should the experience of being in therapy make me feel really good and great? And the answer to that question is, it's complicated. The answer is actually yes and no. And I'll go through why it's a kind of a complicated question and why the answer is complicated. So when you're initially starting with a therapist, it's really important that you guys are on the same page and that you feel really comfortable working with the therapist. And leaving therapy, in one way you should feel awesome in that you feel understood. If you're working with a really great therapist, they are going to tune in to you and tune into your situation and want to hear about your experiences. So you should leave kind of feeling awesome about the fact that this person understands me, gets me, and is really motivated to help me. If you feel awesome about that when you leave therapy, when you're initially starting therapy, that's great. That means that you have created a great relationship with your therapist, or you're on the road to creating a really great relationship with your therapist. The other thing that should feel awesome is that you feel hopeful, and you might or might not leave with skills at the first session to try, depending on the therapist and where you're at in terms of telling your story and getting information. There should be some relief. You can leave with some ideas and some skills to try, or just feeling like you feel relieved because you were able to get some things off your chest that you never got off your chest before. So that's really great too. Now, let's say you're in therapy for several weeks or several months and you feel great at the end of therapy all the time because you felt like your therapist was in your corner and was really positive and everything was kind of rah, rah, rah. Well, that can be good, but there could be a downside to that. If your therapist is not challenging you and asking you to take a real honest look at your thoughts, feelings, behaviors, then it may not be such a good thing to feel awesome all the time. We want to feel awesome that we're connected to the therapist and that they understand us, but we don't always want to feel awesome that everything should be perfectly moving along the way it has. One of the reasons you came to therapy probably was because you needed to change something. So you want to kind of have this little bit of uncomfortability in terms of what you need to do next and where you want to go next, and maybe even highlight a little bit of that struggle so you can take a closer look at it. Change happens in something called the developmental gap. There's this gap or this space where we're at and where we want to be. And we want therapy to move us into that gap, into that space that's going to push us a little bit. And to get pushed means that you're going to have to feel a little uncomfortable. So that was my complicated answer to this very complicated question about whether or not you should feel awesome all the time. So yeah, you want to feel awesome about some things, but if you don't feel a little bit uncomfortable, if your therapist doesn't challenge you a little bit to to grow and to think beyond the way you have in the past, in the way that perhaps was not serving you in the past, then it might be time to challenge the therapist, to talk to them about how you feel about not being challenged. You can also talk to them about whether or not you have kind of maxed out that relationship. Maybe it's time to move to another therapist. The bottom line is it's your therapy. It's your treatment, and it's important to stay informed so that you can make the most out of it. So this is Tony Genovese. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with other people. You can leave a comment below and let me know if you have any questions that I can answer. I would love to answer them, and I can answer them live here on Facebook. Have a great Friday and have a wonderful weekend. Bye.